Are you a Templar that wishes he could do more with his build, but you don't have the gold to spend to get that best in slot? Well, I've got the build for you. And to prove it, I'm going to take on the Silver Pledge of the Day, which is the Fungal Grotto Pledge. I'm going to do it solo. So, continue to watch to see how well I do. Let's just make sure I have up my food buffs. Nothing like running out of your food buff in the middle of a fight. This is a single bar build, dual will build. This is basically corralling the mobs so you can get the most out of your puncturing sweeps. Puncturing sweeps will give you health back. That was a silly death. This is not a no death build. Now there are silver pledges that I can do no death runs on. I try to keep it minimum with 75% health. I use potions for magic regen and to replenish my magic. Breath of Life is particularly costly. But it's critical to have Breath of Life or Honor the Dead for these solo runs. Oh wait, I got a boss here. That's why I'm dying. I got a boss. So the boss fight like this, I try to whittle down the mob as much as possible. So then it'll just be me and the boss. And not anybody extra. Alright, lay down a channeling focus for the extra armor and the extra magic regeneration. Once you get the boss by himself, you can pretty much just face tank him. On some of these silvers, I'll run with a partner who has a similar setup, and we'll end up doing cross healings, which work out extremely well. Alright, so you see the healers healing the one NPC, and that's not a bad thing. Because that means that that NPC stays alive a little longer, and you get health back from them a little longer. Or if you want, you can take out the healer. It's a personal preference for that one. Channel Focus gives you a significant amount of armor, but I mainly use it for the magic regeneration. And I think it's best to get your magic up to 100% before moving on. Let's take a look at the map. So I have the big boss, then I've got to go in. Looks like I got 2 more Guardians to slay and then the big boss at the end. Now taking on a lot of NPCs and trailing like this might put you at a risk of dying more often, but it also gives you the advantage of a lot of health back. If possible, I try to whittle them down in smaller groups. That's right, guys. Heal yourselves so I can take advantage of that. On some fights, I have to use a tripod. Simply because it gives me a full 45 seconds or 47 seconds or whatever it is of increased regeneration. Whereas with a single pot, whether it be magic or stamina or health, you usually only get, I think, like 20 to 30 seconds. And the cooldown for potions is 45 seconds if you have all the passives. So I've never actually taken this boss solo, so I'm not 100% certain how it's going to work. But I'm going to try to nail those two first, get them out of the fight. This way I can just deal with the boss by itself. I'm going to switch to a tripod potion. Oh, hope they don't jump in. So we'll see. What's the worst that can happen? I die every single time and then I don't upload the video. That's the worst that can happen. Alright, this boss has a particularly nasty ability where he links you with another player and it ends up doing a lot of damage to you two the closer you are together. But for solo, it has like no effect. I know tripods are expensive, but I can tell you from my experience, they are well worth the cost for some of the fights, because they give you a lot of regeneration. I try to do the shooting star ultimate, and then I try to keep the boss in that little circle. Again, your best bet here for almost any boss that you're going to solo is keep your health as close to 100% as possible. And generate ultimate as often as possible. Blocking is critical. There are some bosses where literally my ultimate is the only thing that does damage, and the rest of the time I'm dodge rolling and healing. I'll have videos on those bosses in the future. In some ways, this fight is actually more challenging with a group, because of that one ability the boss has to link you to another player, where if you're standing too close to the other player, you'll end up dying. Which then, in a four-man group, you're whittled down to 2 players, who then have to res the other two players so you can finish the boss fight. Oh, I didn't get anything good. So that's how I beat that boss. And hopefully I can continue to solo all the way to the end. I won't know till I get there. Oh, now we're switching over to mud crab NPCs. Mud mud crab swarms. Let me go back to magic. Now, when you heal yourself, you actually generate Ultima. Guardian, Guardian, Boss. If you want to, in some dungeons, you can skip the mobs. In some dungeons, you have to fight through them. Personally, I prefer skipping the mobs in a solo run, if at all possible. The mud crabs can be annoying only because they can be difficult to target with like a single target spell. But for an AoE, that's not as much of a problem. Also, don't be afraid to die. Have plenty of soul gems, and don't be afraid to die. You can always res, start the fight over, learn from your mistakes. You know, dying isn't the end of the world. And if you can't solo the run, feel free to ask for help. Speaking of help, oh, my good buddy Achilles is on. Again, back to the don't be afraid to die. I might have to switch to a tripod for this one. I think this is going to be one of the more challenging fights. Once you get the two little ones down, then basically face tanking the big boss is not that big of a deal. Alright. So it looks like I'm going to have to do a sweep, breath of life, a sweep, breath of life, a sweep, breath of life. And just focus on one. It uses a lot of magic. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Wait for my potion to kick back in. I'm going to make sure I have 2 hours or so on my food buff. Alright, back at it. I can see this is going to be one of those frustrating bosses. Have my ultimate up though. And when you solo these, your main focus is get rid of one, get rid of two, take on the boss. Oh, nonsense. Alright, so the lightning toe is what gets me. Wait for my potion to come back up.